It probably seems like a long time to many federal employees, but it's really just been a few days ago that the Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, announced a deferred resignation program. And what the deferred resignation program does, as most people watching this video know, it gives federal employees a chance to resign by February 6th and delay actually resigning until September 30th, the actual very end of the government's fiscal year. No doubt people have been weighing what to do, what's best for me, what's best for my family. And part of the problem is there's no one right answer, which your colleague in the next cubicle or the next office, or maybe the guy who's working at home, may be right for that person, may not be right for you. So making a decision is difficult. It always seems as though, probably because it's pretty much true, the government runs on rules and lawsuits. Courts get involved frequently on anything of any import involving federal employees. And of course, the deferred resignation program is no exception. A lawsuit filed in the District Court of Massachusetts representing a few different unions on behalf of federal employees. Now, the reality is unions represent employees in a bargaining unit. And the bargaining unit is just a group of employees that the Federal Labor Relations Authority has certified as being appropriate because of commonality of interest. Now, obviously, when you say all federal employees, a lot of those people are not in a bargaining unit. They will be affected in some way by whatever decisions the courts make. So that's pending. The unions have asked for a temporary restraining order. We'll see what happens. Nobody can really predict how that's going to come out. One thing that I wanted to bring up that some of you may not have thought of because it hasn't been widely discussed, and government rules on the personnel management system are sometimes obtuse, sometimes arcane, sometimes even difficult to find if you don't work in the field. But OPM has said that this deferred resignation program is a way for federal employees to take advantage of this offer, get paid through next September, even though they may still be on the rolls. They'll be through September, but you have to resign by today. So what are you going to do? And if you decide not to take the deferred resignation program, what's likely to happen? Again, according to OPM, a lot of things are probably going to be happening in some agencies, not necessarily all. These other things involve restructuring, resizing, possibly closing an agency, RIFs, furloughs, maybe administrative leave for some employees, as we've already seen with DEI employees who've been paid on administrative leave. Now, of course, with administrative leave, these employees are still getting paid. So there's no immediate financial hardship, although obviously they're not going to be paid for a long time. So that result is coming. One of the things that people find confusing sometimes is a furlough. What is a furlough? And a furlough just means you're placed in a non-duty, non-pay status. At least in this case, there's two types of furloughs. There's an administrative furlough, and there's a furlough that happens when the government shuts down, which happens, unfortunately, more often than we would like, but we know it happens. Now, a lot of people are thinking, I was furloughed before. When the government shut down, I was out of work for a week. I went home, I did whatever I did with my family, came back, and I got paid. It was late, but I got the money. The difference is with an administrative furlough, that's not likely to happen. If you're placed in a furlough by your agency, you're in a non-duty, non-pay status. As the term implies, you're not going to get paid. So that's an option that the government has. It may choose to use it, it may not. They may just go into a RIF, a reduction in force. There's no set rule as to how the government will play this out. And in part, it depends on what happens in the court case. We knew a court case was coming. The unions had promised long ago, basically, if Trump is for it, we're going to be fighting it in most cases. So they knew that while this sounds generous, I think it was intended to be generous, under a set of circumstances that aren't really favorable to federal employees, many of them. But that was the intent. We give you this other option, you can get paid, or you can stick around, but these bad things are going to happen because we're changing the structure of how the federal employee and working environment has been conducted in the past. It's going to be different. Enhanced performance standards, as an example. But to get to that point, they want to reduce the government substantially. Furloughs are one obvious option. So if you decide, I'm not going to take this deferred resignation, I'm going to go back to work just as if nothing happened, something will happen, you just don't have any control over it. So that's where we stand. And you have to decide very quickly if you're going to take the deferred resignation program. The decision you make hopefully will be the best one for you, the best for your family, in a set of strenuous circumstances. Obviously, it's tough to make a decision. We wish you the best of luck. We don't know what the court will decide. We don't know what the government will do. It's possible that the court would decide that this decision they're issuing applies to people in a bargaining unit, not to other people. The government could decide, I suppose, we're going to pull the program because of whatever the court decides and just go back to running RIFs, furloughs, etc. We don't know. I'm sure we'll have some interesting videos coming out in the very near future once the path starts to become clear as to how this is going to play out. Thank you for watching. We wish you the best of luck, and we hope that you are able to make the best decision that you are satisfied with under difficult circumstances.